What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Coach's Corner. So I want to hop right into this full breakdown, but I do want to put one quick disclaimer out. Look, everything that we see, okay, I want everybody to understand that the game is still in its alpha state, okay, and I put that out because the game is allowed to have some bumps and bruises right now, okay. It is not meant for the game to be perfect right now, okay. So I just wanted to put that out there before we even get started. Okay, so next thing, I want everybody to know that during this full breakdown, we're going to be watching a lot of this in slow motion, and we're going to break it down to about 25% of its actual speed. So we'll be able to catch quite a bit of things that are going on here. But again, a lot of it is really going to be nitpicky. Nobody's actually going to be playing the game at 25% speed. So we're really going to be nitpicky, man. But I think because you feel like we're getting so close to the game actually coming out that it's really time to really kind of super fine tune. So that is the reason that I'm actually doing this. So I want to go back and actually look over the piece that was just kind of on screen. So it's really small and it's really nitpicky, man. And if you didn't slow this down, you really wouldn't see it. But if you look down at Deontay Wilder's shorts, you can actually see where there's areas where his shorts kind of start to have holes and it kind of disappears. That's the type of stuff where I said it's super nitpicky, but you'll only catch it if you're playing it at this type of speed. And there's going to be a few things in here that we're going to catch like that. But these are some of those small things that I think that the team over at SCI is obviously going to catch, and then have those things kind of ironed out long before this game actually hits the shelves, so to speak. So the next thing I want to look at, man, is I want everybody to kind of focus on the crowd a little bit and just how alive the crowd actually is in comparison to other games. All right, so yes, there's probably going to be a few members of the crowd, man. Usually you see these games where people are it's these repetitive faces, it's these repetitive bodies and things like that are out there, and yes, I would imagine that some of that is sprinkled into the crowd. I mean, it's not something that everybody's going to be staring at while you're actually playing the game, but as a spectator, which we are right now, things like that are something that we are kind of going to look at a little bit more than we would if we were playing the game. But at the same time, man, just look at how active the crowd is. Now, something that I would definitely like to see later on is that if you landed a big punch or something like that, man, to actually see members of the crowd stand up, cheer, you know what I'm saying, raise their hands. Hopefully somebody out there has got a beer or something. But those little additions and attentions to detail, man, would be really, really putting this type of stuff over the top. All right, so the next portion here, is actually really near and dear to me, man, and it's about the punches. I understand that right now one of the biggest criticisms so far about this entire video hasn't been about the punches looking robotic and looking stiff and all that type of stuff. And I even said it myself yesterday. I said that the fighters really across their backs, they really look stiff. The thing about the punches, though, is I wanted to slow it down and I want everybody to see, believe it or not, just how technically sound their punches are. And I say technically sound, and I'm actually going to use Deontay Wilder, who we all know is not necessarily the most technically sound puncher. I'm going to use him just to show everybody just how good and how technical the punches actually are. All right, so I want everybody to look at this next clip, man, and what you're going to see is Deontay Wilder throw a very loaded right hand at Tyson Fury. Now, there's a couple things that I want you to pay attention to. Mainly, I want you to pay attention to his feet, his waist, and his actual arm when he throws the punches. And those three things are important because what you want to see in his feet is you actually want to look at his back foot. You want to see that he bends at the knee, he actually twists up on his toes, and his back heel is off of the ground, which he checks all of those boxes. When you look at his waist actually turns with the punch. And when you look at his arm is almost breaking, almost at 90 degrees. But then we know that Deontay Wilder really throws with everything he has. So he's going to follow all the way through instead of kind of breaking it off and pulling it back. But again, when it comes to the arm being at 90 degrees and throwing it that way, that is subjective. That is subjective basically to whatever coach is teaching you how to throw your right hand. It's also just as subjective as keeping the knuckles straight or turning them flat. There's, again, all of that is subjective to who is teaching you. But if you look at the functionality of the right hand that he's throwing. He's actually throwing it the way that a lot of coaches will teach you how to throw the right hand. So technically, it's not that the punches look robotic, it's that he's actually throwing the punch the right way. Now, here's the one issue that I kind of have with the punches itself. And the one thing that I kind of notice is that everything really looks loaded, and it really looks loaded for like no reason. They look loaded and they look choreographed. And I'll give you a prime example. If you look at Caleb Plant just threw a pretty good left hand. His right hand is technically already loaded because of the weight shift and all of that type of stuff, right? I won't get into all the technicals, but his right hand is already loaded. But what you will see is that as he's coming back, he turns and cocks back even more to like load up on the right hand. The problem there is that it throws off the flow of the combination and all of that, and it does make it kind of like, I don't know. I don't want to say it looks bad. It does kind of mess it up for you though when you look at it that way. Like there's no reason to reload it, so just let that flow just happen, so everything comes out quickly and it happens fast, it's uninterrupted, and everything looks smooth. Now, this is where I get to exhibit A of why I say that. And I want you to look at this combination put together by Arturo Gatti. And the thing is that when nothing is loaded extra and nothing is choreographed, everything comes right out the way that it should. The combination looks smooth, it's uninterrupted, and everything looks really, really good. So I think more displays of what we got here would actually help to kind of quell the idea that the punches just aren't where they need to be, or they don't look good, because this looks really, really, really good. And if this is the type of flow of the fight that we can expect, then ESBC is really going to be on a completely different level. So I really want to put kudos to them guys just for this little highlight here, and the display of Deontay Wilder standing in the ring, and he's like, you can see his reflection in the background. These two shots are just, they're so good, man. And the thing is that the reason these shots get you excited is because it actually shows the potential for what ESBC could be, man, on release day. Yo, if everything looks like these two things that I just had up, man, this game is going to be something super special, man. This boxing is going to be back 100%. Yo, love this next clip here, man. Love the way that Deontay Wilder is stepping with that jab, man, closing that distance. The slip by Tyson Fury was very good. He steps out, and it's like the way that they get entangled and all that type of stuff, man. The physics behind this game are absolutely, they are so good. So here's kind of the last thing I wanted to point out, man, and I know that people have already seen it, so I didn't want to leave it out. But it's really the way that their jaws and stuff are moving when they get hit in the face. Now, I know what SCI is going for here, and I'm not mad at them at all, because I like the idea. We all know that when somebody gets hit hard, like we've seen steel shots of people's mouths literally getting mangled, right? But in this case, we are having a little bit of like graphical issues where you can actually see their teeth like on the side of their faces and things like that. But again, man, this is one of those things where I want to go back to the beginning and I say, remember that this game is still in alpha state, man. These types of things, these small little nitpicky things like this, man, are probably going to get ironed out without a doubt before this game releases. So I like the direction that they're going. Those things just kind of need to get cleaned up. All right, everybody. So this was my ESBC gameplay breakdown. Hopefully you learned something, man. If you didn't, I apologize. Look, maybe you come down to the gym one day, man, and I teach you everything that I know. But no, honestly, I do want to applaud SCI, man. They went quiet for about a month and a half, man. And then what we got was so good. You really got a chance to see the fruits of their labor, man. There were new mechanics that was put in. There's new punch animations. There's new graphical improvements. There was so much that they did in really a kind of short amount of time, man. And I cannot extend it to them enough to just say, take your time. We know now, the entire community should know now, take your time, because the print is in the pudding, yo. Like, we can already see that these guys are putting together Probably the best boxing game, man, that we may ever see. And I know that's saying a lot now, and we may be crowning them early. But look at what we have to go off of as of right now. If this game does not release for the next 6 months or 9 months or the end of the year, if we seen what they can do in about a month and a half, imagine what they're going to be able to do with another 6 to 9 months time. So I want y'all to chew on that, man. And look, please put your comments down in the comment section below, man. Let's continue this conversation. And as always, appreciate y'all for coming back to the Coach's Corner, and I will catch y'all on the next one. Peace out.